We're on page 72. And the question now is that now that we know that calmness is important, how do you create it? How do you find it? How do you reach it? V'hamidah azot, this character trait, klamar arichut apayim, meaning calmness, nisgavahi v'kashe la'asiga. It's very lofty, and it's difficult to reach it. Umchayevet shkida gdola, and it demands a very big effort towards it. Shelo listot mimena, not to stray from it. V'zot tusag al yedei hitkashrut b'hilchot musar v'chukot haTorah. And the way to not abandon this path is by becoming well-trained in the path of Torah, and specifically the area of Torah that deals with our midot, our character traits.
It's an interesting oxymoron. Great struggle and effort to be calm.
Yes.
Because it's
making
like, great effort is not a calm undertaking.
Very good. I think that in general we believe that the character traits are easy to attain. Yeah, sure, I could change. Sure, I could. Sure.
Shlomo Melech says it's just the opposite.
Rabbi Salanter writes that to change one character trait is harder than studying the entire Talmud 101 times. It's not easy to become a different person or to bring out the best inside of us. It requires a rigorous training, and you'll see some people that they used to be very angry, and today, Baruch Hashem, they've managed to work on themselves. But if you would have known them many years ago, you wouldn't think it's the same person. People who once were not emotional at all, they were very cold and distant, and today they're warm and sympathetic. But those things take time, those things take effort. Learning Musar. And I have to understand, when I say Musar, I'm not referring to the latter-day Musar movement. Just like when we say that someone is a Chassid, I'm not referring to someone with a strangler. A Chassid is a righteous person. Musar is the discipline of studying how to become a better person. There was a movement also named the Musar movement, but I'm not referring to that. I want to read to you a little bit about Musar, because it's difficult to reach and it requires a path, and one has to work hard on it. Rav Chaim Vital, the reason the Yortzeit is tonight. The Ari Kadosh passed away tonight, the 5th of Av. Rav Chaim Vital is his main student. He says the Yisod, the fundamental principle of having a connection to Hashem, is studying Musar and fixing your midot. The Mishnah Berurah says that every day you have to learn a little bit of Musar. The Chaye Adam says, Rabbi Avram Danzig was a businessman, a very famous European businessman, who was the posek of his generation, but didn't have a job as a rabbi. He wasn't a rabbi of a community, he wasn't a Rosh Yeshiva. He was a merchant. He traveled from here and there, sold things. And he writes in the introduction to his book, many people will tell me, who are you to write a book in Halakha? You're not even a rabbi. He says, you should know that I try to learn Torah whenever I can. And he says, and when the Torah is distant from you, it's only because you are distant from her. But if you're a person, even if you're in business and you're working, but the whole day you think, when I have a chance, I'm going to learn Torah. And that itself is a connection to Torah. He says, everywhere I went, they brought me books. And he speaks for himself. Until the Chavetz Chaim came along, the entire European Jewish community followed the halachot of the Chayyim Adam. On his grave, he asked they shouldn't call him by any fancy titles. Not the rabbi, the great rabbi, the tzaddik, just right, Avraham of Danzig, who did business honestly. That's all he wanted to be on his tombstone. So he was an honest businessman. He says more important to study Musar than it is to study Mishnayot, which are from the Talmudic time, from before Talmudic times. The Baal Shem Tov, Alav Shalom. The Baal Shem Tov didn't write a will, but there's a book called The Will of the Baal Shem Tov, written by one of his students. I don't remember his name. He was from the town of Yanover. And he wrote this book called The Will of the Baal Shem Tov, meaning teachings, collected teachings that they heard from the Baal Shem Tov, and he writes the following in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. En hayetzer hara mefate et hadam shelo lilmod klal. Your yetzer hara is not foolish enough to try to get you never to study Torah. It doesn't do that. It doesn't get you never to pray. It's too hard for a yetzer hara to fight you in an extreme fashion. Shiyodeh she'eno shomer lo. He knows that you won't listen to him if he tells you not to study Torah at all. Ki kasher lilmod klal, because when a person doesn't learn Torah at all, lo yeh chashuv b'nei habriot. People won't respect him as a Torah scholar. Maybe people will say, "Oh, he's just a fool, doesn't know anything." Part of the reason people study Torah is so that they could walk around with some kind of ego that they know something. ולא ינקרא למדה, אנחנו מפתה יצרת האדם שלא ללמוד אלא גמרא עם כל מפרשים. The Yetzirah says, don't waste your time studying Rabbeinu Avraham ben Arambam. Study Talmud, study Tosfot, study Rashbas and Ritvas and Rabbi Akiva Eigers. Study hard stuff. Why are you studying this easy Musar thing? ולא איזה דבר שיביא יראת שמיים. And it will steer you clear of anything that will bring you to any kind of יראת שמיים. כמו ספר Musar, like a book of Musar. Interesting enough, what does the Baal Shem Tov consider something that will bring you close to Hashem? O Shulchan Aruch, or the Shulchan Aruch, Leda Hadin Al Burio, to know how to act, to know actually how to live like a Jew. Instead, the Yetzer Hara says, don't study so much practical Torah, study theoretical Torah. Become an expert in what happens if the ox gores the cow. That should you be an expert in this. Important Jewish things. Don't be an expert in how to be a good person. That's a waste of time. And you'll find many, many, many Torah scholars who they know a lot of Torah, but they studied areas of Torah that didn't make them a better person.
The question here is just reading or studying something enough to transform one's nature?
No, but it's a place to start. It's limud mevili de masa. Rabbi says that when you learn something, the chances of it coming into action are much greater.
True. But there still has to be action.
Absolutely.
The question is, how does it become action?
It's a good question.
When you see teachers talk about Musar, they're talking about ideal character traits, but actually embodying them and making them part of yourself.
Well, part of them making them ideal character traits is they become highly impractical, like we mentioned last week. It doesn't have to be an ideal character, it just has to be a good character trait. One that I can try to take on. Eli, if you scoot down, and Hillel, you scoot down, we could bring a chair for Doron if available.
Family.
So it takes hard work to reach this level. B'yichod Musar, what kind of Musar do you have to work on, not just study? שירגיל האדם את נפשו לאריכות אפיים על דברים מרגיזים. The one who says, I'm not an angry person, people just make me angry. That person is telling you he's an angry person. You must train yourself in situations where you would normally become angry. Train yourself not to react with anger. ואם דוחפנו יצר הריב על הכעס, and if the yetzer, this inclination towards fighting, pushes him towards anger, יבלמו מוסרות השכל ולא יהיה מהיר חמה. Allow the bonds, the ropes of your intellect to hold onto your heart and say, don't rush to anger. This is a very fundamental principle in the Rambam's teachings, which is your mind. You must be in total control of your body, of your soul, of your emotions. It doesn't make you cold. But don't allow yourself to say, I just did it because I had no choice. I wasn't thinking clearly. It's not an excuse according to the Rambam. Not thinking clearly is a problem.
The Rambam spent an entire year in bed after his brother died at sea. He was a very feeling man.
Very. He wasn't cold, very good.
Right.
But the Rambam, they turned him into some kind of like litvak, it wasn't this way. The Rambam was trying to tell you that your mind, what's going to happen when you become angry? I'll tell you here. כמו שציווה שלמה, like Shlomo tells the Kehillat, אל תבהל ברוחך לכעוס, don't be so quick to allow your spirit to bring you to anger. ולהרגיל עצמו למשמעת. You must teach yourself to have discipline, self-control. You know, Doron is in yeshiva. And when I was in yeshiva, I thought, like, what did I learn when I was in yeshiva? I learned a lot of Gemara. I'll tell you the truth, I did learn a lot of Gemara. And I think it's one of the few yeshivas in the world that you walk out of high school with 4 to 8 masechtot under your belt. Like, you walk out with a significant amount of shas under your belt. When I went, in Eretz Yisrael, here might sound like an extreme yeshiva, but on the East Coast, it's considered quite progressive and liberal, which is cute. It's because it's not. But the attitude that it has is like, no, they have secular studies and they're a little bit more modern or whatever it is. Like in Lakewood or Brisk, they wouldn't give a Ner Yisrael guy the time of day. But when I went to Israel and I studied with guys who came from top-notch yeshivot, they're not coming from an egotistical place, I realized they didn't learn as much as we did. They didn't know how to learn as much as we did. They couldn't open up a Gemara and learn it the way we knew how to open up a Gemara and learn. And when I go back, so what did I learn in Baltimore? A lot of self-control, a lot of discipline. It was a lot of working on their rules and their times, and there's no excuses, and there's never, and the rabbi will not have your back when you do something wrong. But it's like going to the army. And no question, it's not for everybody. But when you come out of the army, you come out, in Israel, one of the best things these guys do is go to the army. They come out after 3 years, and not like our college students that are busy getting drunk every night and running around campus after close up. They're 3 years they spent in ditches in Gaza. They're going to come out now. They know when to wake up on time. They know what to do things. They know how long they have to get dressed. They know how to eat. They know that they have responsibility.
But then they head to India.
What?
Then they head to India.
Well, okay. It's not a perfect system. But there's discipline. Discipline is the first step to so much of Judaism. If one doesn't have discipline, then why should I listen to the rules? You have to appreciate rules in order to be able to follow them. You must realize that kas, anger, gets rid of your intellect. The Gemara in Pesachim says this. And if a person doesn't have intellect, the person will become like a leopard, like a tiger, like a lion. He'll become an animal of prey. He'll just rip apart people. I was once in somebody's office. From outside of the building, I heard them screaming at their employee. I couldn't believe it. You would have run for your life. You'd think there was a fire in the building. That's just the way this person talks to his employees. The person is an angry person. When you are angry, you lose your sechem. This is not Kabbalah where I told you that Rizal says you lose your neshama. Tonight is the Yotzan of Rizal. We're talking about a person just... They lose their mind. Literally, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. Words come out of their mouth that they're not thinking about. Actions. So the Chalila people come to violence when they're angry. Can imagine that a person out of anger, they call it crime of passion. They get up and they kill somebody. And they spend the rest of their life in prison for something that they don't even realize why they did it. They were angry, but they would never be that. The rest of their life, a person does a crime when they're drunk. And they weren't even conscious of this when they did it. And the rest of their life, they have to live a miserable existence because they put themselves in a situation where they had no doubt, where they had no control over their actions, their body. Our HaShamayim spoke about getting drunk. He said, how could you put yourself in a situation where you don't have control over yourself? When you become an animal, the only thing that separates us from animals is that we have control of ourselves.
Animals don't drink.
You're very good, but animals don't have any choice of what they do.
Sometimes they do. They do. If you give them drinks, they'll drink them.
I've never seen a drunk animal, but this is. Vakas. So where does anger come from? Bamina sichlut. It comes from a place of stupidity, of foolishness. And when you see a person who's angry, it tells you about their level of intellect. Just the way when you see a person who's calm, it tells you about their level of intellect. K'divrei Shlomo, like Shlomo says, Erech apayim rav tvuna u'ktsar ruach merit mivedet. Calmness is a sign of great understanding, but short-temperedness displays foolishness. V'amar od sechel adam herich apo, v'tifarto avor al pasha. A sign of a man's intellect is his calmness, and forgiveness is his glory. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about this, what anger does, what kind of things anger brings us about. But the first thing we have to know, you must try as much as possible to put yourself in a situation where you have self-control, where there is no emotion that gets the better of you, especially not anger. There are other emotions, but especially not anger. Because when a person loses, they can do all kinds of terrible things. Anger brings about all kinds of averot and all kinds of terrible crimes and all kinds of things. A person must know, I am in control. So take a break, breathe, stop, go for a walk, whatever it is that helps you with anger. But don't let yourself reach a point where you're so angry that you just lose yourself. It's a very dangerous place to be in. Hashem should bring us to a place of calmness.